Today, we'll discuss Hour Bank functionality related to Progressus Advanced Projects. We'll discuss an overview, configuration, setup, and processing transactions. Hour Banks allow you to invoice a customer for a prepaid amount or hours that will be later consumed by posting timesheets. We'll generate a prepaid amount with an invoice which will increase your prepaid accrual account by running an Hour Bank to GL process, and then we'll post timesheets. The timesheets will then decrease the available hours or amounts in the Hour Bank. The timesheet will also create revenue via the Hour Bank to GL process. Setting up your Hour Banks is important, and this is a one-time setup for these three areas. First, you'll set up your project setup screen, and in there is an Hour Bank numbers field in the Hour Banks Fast tab. This just allows you to auto-increment your Hour Bank IDs if you desire. You can manually enter those IDs instead of using auto-numbering. Also, there's the Hour Bank accrual account, and that account is required because you'll post the sales invoice, and it will then classify it to the Hour Bank accrual account through the Hour Bank to GL posting process. We also need a business posting setup, which drives the sales account during the posting of the sales invoice. We usually recommend that you set up an Hour Bank resource, which allows you to easily track your Hour Banks and drive to the proper product posting group. You can charge to an actual resource in your organization if you prefer, but an Hour Bank resource makes it easy to handle the Hour Banks. The need for creating Hour Banks comes in when your customer agrees to purchase a prepaid block of hours. You then create invoices against the Hour Bank, and this allows you to track usage of these prepaid hours. To set up an Hour Bank, you'll need to create a project and link it to a customer. If you don't have a customer, obviously you'll need to create that as well. Once you have the project created, you can create your Hour Bank, and then you link both the customer and the project to that Hour Bank. That creates the master records, but now you want to process transactions for them. To process transactions, the first step is to create a sales invoice, and you can use that Hour Bank resource that we discussed earlier. You also need to associate that sales invoice to the project and your task. Any task on the project is fine. An Hour Bank is also needed. When that sales invoice posts, it will debit accounts receivable and credit the sales account from the resource that you used during the sales invoice entry. There's an Hour Bank GL posting process to run. This is found in the Role Center under Actions, Processing, Billing, Hour Bank Post GL. This will reclassify the sales account created from the sales invoice posting to the Hour Bank account from the project setup. It reduces revenue and increases your prepaid Hour Bank account. Once you have your sales invoice posted, now you're ready to start consuming that Hour Bank. The Hour Bank will be consumed via timesheets. You can enter timesheets, and when you enter time, you'll choose the project and task of the Hour Bank. You need to reference the Hour Bank on the timesheet. There's a field for that on the timesheet, and it will auto-populate if you set up your Hour Banks to be required. To edit this option, open the Hour Bank, select Related Information, Valid Projects. To set an Hour Bank to auto-default during timesheet entry, select the Use Hour Bank Number Default option on the desired project. Then you post the timesheet, but then there's that secondary process where you run the Hour Banks Post GL process, and this will apply the revenue to your general ledger, based on the timesheets that were posted. There's an hourly rate related to the Hour Bank times the hours charged on the timesheet. That will credit the sales account from the general business posting setup, and it will debit that Hour Bank account that was originally posted when you did the sales invoice. The next step is we'll show a demo of the steps and how to set it up. The purpose of this video is to cover the processing and handling of the Hour Bank process relative to Progressus Advanced Projects. The first thing you want to do to process Hour Banks is to set up your Hour Bank configuration in Project Setup. Scroll to the Hour Bank Fast tab where you can define the Hour Bank numbers. This will default a number value when you set up an Hour Bank. The user can optionally use their own numbering system or naming convention for the Hour Bank. We also have the Hour Bank prepaid account. This will be the account that's posted to for the generation of sales invoices, and then will be decremented as you consume time against the Hour Banks. The next step is we frequently set up an Hour Bank resource. This allows you to enter sales invoices directly to a specific resource. If you don't have a real resource that you'll be using to build the hour bank, you can use a generic resource, such as this. The key thing to set up here is the general product posting group of services. The services product posting group gives you the ability to drive the sales invoice. Navigate to the general business posting setup. The customer has domestic selected for the general business posting group, and choose services for the general product posting group. That will drive all the revenue postings to sales account 40,100 in this example. Now that basic configuration is done, the hour bank can be created. When you sign a contract with a customer, you'll create an hour bank project. The project created here is called ongoing support. The expectation is that we're going to pre-bill a set of hours, and then the customer will decrement these hours as they're used by their support team. In this example, we created a project with customer 20,000 and just a normal task list. There's nothing special about the task list. Now that a project has been created, the next step is to set up the hour bank. This is where you assign the hour bank to your customer. This hour bank is linked to customer 20,000. In setting up the hour bank, we set it to track that hour bank by hours rather than by amount, so it'll reduce the number of hours on the hour bank at the billing rate used on the sales invoice. If amount is selected rather than hours, then it's going to be tracked based on the resource price setup. You'll notice that currently there are no postings for this hour bank. The last thing is to link the project that we'll charge time against to the hour bank. This allows us to charge against it and decrease the hour bank. It will also allow us to default this project on the timesheet. When someone enters a timesheet on this project, the hour bank number of customer 20,000 will default on their timesheets. Now let's look at a sales invoice. This next step is to process transactions related to the hour bank. We will pre-bill them for the hours they're going to consume on this hour bank. Here is the hour bank that we set up. You'll notice in the transaction line that we chose a type of resource and chose the hour bank resource so that it's going to drive that services revenue account 40,100. We also chose the project and the task. It's especially important to choose the hour bank number that you want to increment so that the posting of the invoice will increase the hour bank. When this posts, the hour bank will have a quantity of 80 to be consumed. We'll also get a revenue posting of $16,000 to the general ledger. The next step is to post this invoice so that you'll see the results of what happens. The very first thing to look at is the general ledger posting. There's nothing special about this posting because it's the standard Business Central posting. It's going to hit the 40,100 account as a credit for $16,000 and then debit the accounts receivable account for that $16,000. However, because it's a prepaid hour bank, we need it to post to the prepaid account that was in the project setup. There's a process called Hour Bank Post GL process that will reclassify it from the revenue account to the prepaid account. The Hour Bank Post GL process finds any unposted Hour Bank transactions and processes them. This process can be run as frequently as needed. This can be set up to run on a job queue if you want it, or you can run it manually. It's your choice. We'll run it manually just for the purposes of this demo. You're not required to put in a posting date. If you leave it blank, it'll search all posting dates to find any unposted Hour Bank transactions and post them for you. Now that this has been posted, let's look at the GL register again to show the result from running the Hour Bank Post GL process. There's now a second entry. You'll notice in this entry is a debit to the 40,100 sales account because it reclassified the revenue from the sales invoice created to the prepaid account as a credit. Now that the Hour Bank is created and there are hours in it, we are ready to begin entering transactions to consume the Hour Bank. Next, let's look at what happens when the Hour Bank was posted. The Hour Bank was updated as soon as the sales invoice was posted. Running Hour Bank Post GL did not change the remaining quantity at all. We have 80 hours now and $16,000 from the posted sales invoice. If you drill down, you can see which invoice it was for and the remaining amount. The next step is to start entering transactions on timesheets for this Hour Bank. Let's go look at the Hour Bank transaction on a timesheet. Time was entered on this timesheet line for this project. It can be any task on that project. The Hour Bank number defaulted in because it was designated in the Hour Bank related information that it should be defaulted. Hours were entered to consume time against the Hour Bank. If there were not enough hours in the Hour Bank to post this, we'd get an error message when trying to post. If you're tracking your hour bank by amounts rather than hours, it would use the resource billing rates to determine if the available amount on the hour bank is decremented too low by the billing rate. In this example, we used hours or quantity, so it will use quantity of hours here rather than the billing amount. Next, submit the timesheet, and then post the timesheet by approving it. Here's the time that was entered. Select Approve All. Let's go back to the hour bank so you can see what happened to that hour bank. We started with 80 hours, and now we have 40. If we drill down, you'll see this is the timesheet usage here. This is the sales line from the first invoice. Then, as the time is posted, it's decreasing the hour bank hours. It's then applying those hours, so you see the application entry types. That's how the hour bank is updated. The last step is to record the revenue in the general ledger, and again, that must be done by running the hour bank PostGL process. We'll choose the hour bank, but if you leave it blank, it'll run the process for all hour banks. Now, if you look at the GL register, you'll see that this entry was created. There's a line for each timesheet posting. It is 8 hours at $200 per hour, so it's generating revenue to the 40,100 account, and it's relieving the prepaid account with a debit. Thank you for your time in viewing this video on Progressus Advanced Project Hour Banks. For more information on this topic, please visit the link included here.